Hello.
Hello and welcome, guys. Here we go with the top 16 of Speed Gaming Live, Andy versus Solski. My name is Dante, and I'm joined today by Felix. Felix, how you doing?
I'm doing real well. I'm very excited for this match. How about you?
This one's going to be a good one. I mean, this whole top 16 bracket is pretty spicy, honestly.
Absolutely.
The best of the best are here and going to put on a heck of a show for us.
Yeah, definitely. We have, I believe, the, what is it, 4th, 5th seed was Andy?
Yeah.
I think, or maybe the 3rd even.
Something like that.
I think it was the 3rd and the 14th.
Yeah, so these are best of ones. So, you know, there is that opportunity these players could get randoed, but it looks like we are getting started here. So both choosing to start in Link's house, just a big 20 though.
Just a big 20, but, you know.
$20 is going to, you know, add up. You want to have a little bit of cash before you get to Kakariko. You don't want to, like, orphan that bottle vendor check.
No, definitely. Yes, money problems always an issue at the start.
Oh, yeah.
Zora, too. Some other stuff. I mean, if you get early Dark World, you can't even get into pod.
Exactly. Getting that tree pull looks like it's just hearts today, so may not see too much action of that going on.
That's very true. Yeah, maybe they'll go for the level 2.
And that was a map check. I missed it. Our tracker is on it for us, so it looks like we have Tower of Hera as a green pendant and 2 regular crystals at Eastern and Desert, but there's our glove in the chest right before Uncle, so this is nice and convenient.
Very true. Maybe we'll get a early Hera check on coming. Depends what they get next.
And both players getting a bomb drop, plus there's 3 bombs there from the Uncle, so we're kind of set for Kakariko. You know, no need of really buying bombs at this point.
Very true, very true. Ooh.
And speaking of buying things, there's our money. You talked about the money problems, but Solski opting to start back at the house. So heading over, looks like, to the eastern area. Meanwhile, Andy looks like he is going to make the play 2 back of escape.
Yeah, very interesting. Immediate divergence in their routing. Again, kind of not a standard play by Solski, which is, you know, I guess what you got to do in something like this when you're playing a best of 1, you got to think about how you can, I guess, outgame your opponent.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, there's situations where you want to take gambles and risks. You want to try to read the logic, but at the same time, you don't want to, like, go swing for a home run, because if you miss, then that's, you know, very volatile for you.
Absolutely. So last night we had our, you know, play-in race, which was a field of 11 players playing for.
Well, there's the flute, so the early eastern area play for Solski paying off, so he's going to be able to activate that on his first trip over to Kakariko. That's kind of a huge advantage for transportation around the overworld.
Absolutely. But yeah, so last night we had our play-in. It was a field of 11 players playing for
9 spots, yeah.
9
that
spots,
was
yeah.
Heck of a race. But a lot of good players in that one too. I mean, you know, it's crazy.
Absolutely. And you totally have to play different strategies for a big kind of big race like that, where you just have to, you know, beat enough people, versus this one where you have to play to beating your opponent. And we know Andy's a very safe player, relies on his execution and, you know, routing, but does everything kind of by the book. So Solski kind of diverging a bit. And paying off, as you said.
I believe that was a sword on the library ledge. No boots, so we can't get that just yet. So depending on our sword situation later on, once we have those boots, we may see the players go back there. We may see them opt to skip it.
Yeah. Very interesting start right off the bat. Nothing, I mean, the gloves and the flute, Death Mountain, it's a couple checks.
And that bottle's nice and convenient there in the back of Tavern. That way we can just walk right on up and check the sick kid, and less checks even orphaned here in Kakariko.
Yeah, very, very tidy. Very tidy Kakariko. Sick kid, one of the worst to come back to.
It really is, because even if you're coming back for Dark World, you have to walk south, and it's like the longest walk ever, especially with no boots.
Yeah, very, very easy to forget. So we got, you know, a minimal divergence. Andy will end up where Solski is right now in the Lost Woods, but just checking Kakariko.
And $20 there in the chicken hut. Solski, just 3 bombs there. They're going to pick those up. And I think it was a piece of heart laying in the woods, so opting not to get that. Both of these players very good runners, so don't really have to go out of your way for too many heart pieces.
Very true. Yeah, both comfortable, you know, playing a little bit more of the low percent strategies, as we call them, but they're already at 4 hearts too, so.
Yeah, I mean, they're good for the whole run now, right?
Yeah, definitely. They'll find something else along the way.
Oh, there's the shovel. So Solski may be able to pick that up and route it in when he heads south, but You know, Andy's already come through that way. You know, maybe we get a mirror check later on, or mirror into that area later.
Yeah, definitely. We'll probably wait to pair it instead of walking back down.
Yeah.
Back up. Yeah, blindside now. Andy just finishing off the well. Totally converged. So, what do you hope to see from this seed, these players?
Well, I hope we don't get a situation where one player gets randoed. I'd love to see an execution battle, you know, going down the stretch with this. That'd be, you know, that's always one of the most entertaining things to watch when you have top-level players like this playing.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, again, Andy and Solski are definitely familiar with each other. They play Z3R together, or, you know, sometimes racing each other. So definitely be interesting. Great, like, skill level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
All right, so not a whole lot in Kakariko as far as like actual progression. You know, we do have that unknown with the shovel. We'll revisit that at some point, but I'm curious to see once Solski activates that flute and heads through here, where he's going to decide to go. Andy obviously going to be doing those checks up in the Lost Woods that Solski's already done.
Very true, and so we don't have any weapon yet to do mini Moldrum. They both have a bunch of bombs, but maybe they'll go check somewhere else first, using that flute, fly up to Death Mountain, see what's up there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of free checks up there. I know we've got the dark, you know, the dark room with the old man with no lamp yet, as we see Solski activating his flute. But you know, the bombs. I think both these players are pretty comfortable if they need to, you know, kill those mini Moldrums with just bombs. We should have enough at this point. Both of them sitting at 10 right now. I know Solski's probably gonna have to expend one for Chicken Hut here, but other than that, he'll be set with 9.
Right. So Andy actually going to pick up those 3 bombs. Thinking about it for a sec, but
yeah, you always want to make sure you have all your equipment. So Andy is making that play to South Shore now. So we'll see what's in our dam for us and head on over maybe to either Mini Moldrum Cave or make that early Agena check. Sometimes that comes into play, and you know, if you go there early and you get that piece of progression, then all of a sudden, you know, the seeds kind of opened up.
Yeah, very true. And it's again one of those, like, you're playing to your opponent. Maybe the thing that may take a bit more investment, but bigger payout as a result. I'm a big fan of the early Agena play.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sometimes, you know, it doesn't pan out, but you know, when it does, it's always huge, especially if you know your opponent is gonna like not check that. You know, with the way, you know, we talked about how these guys are comfortable playing against each other. They've done it multiple times casually, so there's a little bit of, you know, metagaming potentially going on in their heads, thinking, all right, what's my opponent going to be doing with this opening route? And look, here we go. Andy is making that play over to Agena, so it looks like we are going to get that check.
I'm excited. I'm very excited. I love this play. You get to check the desert ledge. You get a couple pieces of information that, again, maybe your opponent doesn't have. Andy going over to check immediately. And
looks like Solski's going to do the blind check of the race game using a bomb. Just a bee and a bottle there on desert ledge. So most likely these guys not going to be going to pick that up.
No, probably not just yet. Andy being a little careful. 1.5 hearts. Don't want to have to die and come back.
Yeah, death in the overworld, doesn't matter where you are, is usually, it never feels good, you know, having to start back at, like, it's basically a save and quit at that point.
Solski going for the single arrow, you know, just for the fun.
I mean, you might as well.
Yep.
Speaking of it being a bottle, there's yet another one. Andy opting to hard reset. So, looks like he's going to make the play down maybe South Shore. Maybe we see him go eastern, get that flute.
Yeah, definitely. Saving bombs here, though, at the very least. Ooh, the shovel. Let's see what it is. Solski going to check now. Andy on his way.
Oh, okay. So they are going to kind of, you know, high five, as it were, in this area, it seems. Just 10 arrows, so no major progression there. The one advantage here, Solski going to be able to flute away. And let's see, it looks like he is going to make the South Shore play now as well. Or rather, the desert play.
Oh, so is that, what, 3 bottles they found?
That's 3 that we've seen. I mean, we obviously can't access that desert ledge one, but 3 bottles this early. We're only 8.5 minutes in. A lot of safeties, you know, potentially early on for these guys.
Absolutely. You know, luckily this is not a crowd control, so they cannot be given.
SpeedGaming Live 2020 crowd control only. No, that would be so bad.
But there are probably some good crowd control coming up. I think there's you know, 1 or 2 on Sunday.
There's going to be a few of those, I believe, and they've all been super exciting to watch and be a part of.
Yeah, definitely. A very entertaining way to relive your retro games.
All All right, so Andy using those bomb strats now, going to be taking out these mini mold worms. Down to 2 hearts, just going to have to be a little careful here, but
the double.
The double's always a nice feeling, but doing a nice job taking those out. And we got 5 items coming up. Oh, there's Titan's Mitts. And a Moon Pearl, so there's our Dark World access.
There's our Dark World access, so I wonder if that's going to lead Andy away from the flute.
Yeah, that's a very real possibility. You know, you mentioned earlier he does like to play things a little safe, so he may go ahead and just do this entire South Shore, which it looks like he is going to do, not opting to, you know, follow that piece of progression just yet.
This does also open the Waterfall Fair Cave, but, you know, maybe Andy will luck into some more rupees and go up there, do Zora, that sort of thing, before heading somewhere else. Like, again, the play for Eastern to get that flute, maybe not on Andy's mind just yet because it's a crystal, because they don't have a bow.
Yeah, you see a lot of players when Eastern ends up being a pendant, they like to go there because there may be some very early game progression that's like, you know, the linchpin and the seed that kind of stifles you down. But when it's a crystal, it's always a little less appealing to just like go over there because it's such a time investment. As we see Solski getting his mitts and Pearl as well.
Yeah, mitts, Pearl, they're already at the Riot Shield. Andy now does have the amount of money required for Zora, so...
Yeah, nice 100 drop there inside Ice Rod Cave, so looks like we are going to get that fake flipper action.
How convenient. Gotta love when that works like that.
Yeah, that's always what you hope for, at least.
Yeah, definitely.
I like this play from Solski here, going into the Mire area early to get a little bit of intel, and we're getting that Dark World check. So it looks like TR and Misery Mire are both pendants today.
So maybe don't need any medallions. It looked like, what, Ice and Swamp were the 5-6?
Yes, let's see.
Or maybe it was Pod.
Pod and Ice looks like.
Pod and Ice,
according to our tracker. Keeping us straight, and I believe that was Ether, if I saw that correctly.
Yeah, I believe that's what I saw as well.
Oh, speaking of medallions, there's Quake for Andy at the Hobo. That's a little out of line. And there's the Cane. So getting Cane early. Oh, and the hook shot.
Wow.
Oh, so Flute really paying off.
So this is
here.
That's East Side Death Mountain dark and light access now. They can get up there with the flute. That's a lot.
That's very huge for Solski. You know, we'll see where Andy decides to go after this. He may make the play over to Eastern. We're kind of running out of the light world checks, but the fact that he's got that progression to go into Dark World, it could be quite some time, like you were saying earlier, before he actually gets there.
Yeah, Andy's still stuck. Well, so some of this is out of logic, but Andy's still stuck in that initial sphere with, you know, no way to... Andy can get into Dark World, but is continuing to finish it off first. So we'll see, again, if Andy goes to EP, gets that flute, and gets that major progression of both Cane and Hookshot.
And Solski doing this dark room here to rescue the old man, I believe, on the mountain. Usually you see that sword beam out, but no sword in hand, not able to do it. But seems to be having no issue with it, being rewarded with 3 bombs, but more importantly, we have that save and quit point. It's always nice to be able to start on the mountain, especially when you need to climb it again, potentially.
Absolutely. Yeah, doing something like that without the mirror allows you to get those checks done way easier. Or, you know, if those boulders attack, then you got something to return to.
Exactly. So just 10 arrows on Zora, nothing on that Zora ledge. So that all coming up empty for Andy. Looks like there was a heart container up on Spectacle Rock.
Ooh. So.
And there's our actual mirror shield for Solski, but looks like we're probably not gonna be picking that up. We don't want to have to do those extra draw frames.
No, and in this mode that we're doing here, there's hints are off, so not particularly useful to even go in there for, you know, the hint that we're used to with V30, or even V31 if you choose to
use them. Yeah, that's one of the things that's like so great with competitive play with V31 is being able to toggle those hints off. You know, sometimes they just make or break seeds for you, and sometimes they lead you astray too.
Absolutely. Yeah, information is incredibly valuable. So you have to kind of read in those hints, or, you know, spend that time potentially for useless information. So it kind of just changes the way you think about the game.
All right, so Andy getting his Dark World check in. Meanwhile, Solski visiting Paradox Cave, just 20 bucks, and I believe that was Bugnet there. So nice, useless item. You know, unless we can't do swordless Aga, obviously, but that would,
that's true.
You know, people like to use the net.
Yeah, you know, for for the strats.
Exactly. All right, so Andy did dive here into Dark World, checking out Skull Woods, and there's a lamp actually for Solski here on the mountain. So trying to piece together where that's going to lead him to. You know, the only thing that would really benefit Solski like exponentially is if somehow Hammer were to end up here as well.
Yeah, definitely. Still a lot of checks though. Hookshot, cave. We got spiral cave, the 2 super bunny items. So.
Speaking of changes here with V31, the pinball room here in Skull Woods where Andy is, that used to always be guaranteed a key, and now that can be a progression item. You can get soft locked in there, needing to save and quit. So you have to be a little careful with how you want to manage your keys going through here. As we see Andy heading back down, is going to go ahead and check that room.
Absolutely.
Use the key to get out.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing is that you can't just leave it alone. You used to be able to, if you got a key, you just walk out, you know where one more key is going to be always. Ooh, just the map.
So no progression there inside Skull Woods. Pretty much every check, early game can be like this. Every check Andy's doing right now kind of coming up empty, but there's powder that's going to open up down the line. Magic Bat. Only one check we can really get out of that, but you kind of hate to see that item in a way because, it's out of the way, kind of like Sick Kid is.
Yes, definitely. Maybe useful if you're doing Thieves Town, Village of Outcasts, that sort of thing. But again, it's something you need a bunch of items for, and if you don't have it, it becomes orphan later. So Andy getting the final, I guess, check in Skullwoods that can be got right now, given the items they have. No fire rod, so can't go into the back. We saw one item, I thought.
Yeah, there was one. So and Andy having to wait this out there. This can be kind of a costly check, especially if you were to accidentally take a death. But Andy doing a very nice job here. Has enough health to tank the hit there from the Gibdo, and looks like maybe setting up the Death Warp as well. So just a small key. So gonna have to be heading out. Maybe we see the Village of Outcasts play here.
Yeah, it could be Village of Outcasts. We'll see if he saves and quit. Nope, save and continue.
And it looks like I may have missed it, but it looks like Solski did pick up the flippers there in Super Bunny Cave.
Wow.
That's pretty huge. That puts basically what Andy's done into logic, but we know nothing's really come of that except that potential for a Quake medallion. Looks like Bombos is our TR entry requirement for today. So we at least have that information now. So that, like you said earlier, information is one of the most valuable things when you're playing a seed of this.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, then that means that Quake is not particularly useful because Meyer was Ether.
Oh, and there's a bow. Wow, so everything kind of coming on Solski's wave right now.
Yeah, you got to go to Eastern to get the flute.
And the boots. So that's a lot of progression.
Yeah, all
Dark Mountain, really the play at this point. But, that's what a couple spheres in because of all the things that are locked behind it. So,
yep. Titan's Myths 2 is one of those ones where it's like, you hope to have that as your go mode item or something like that because it just unlocks so much.
It does. That puts the opportunity, Smith Chain here in this area as well. So that's potentially looming in Andy's mind. It's so slow to have to do that, without the mirror. But we'll see what they decide to do. Looks like King's Tomb just $50. So Solski going to be checking these Bonk Rock locations. And chess game kind of coming up almost empty.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess one's better than nothing.
Very true. So Solski does not have a sword yet, but with boots can go get that one off the library.
Yeah, and that may be exactly what the seed's intending for us to do here to get our progression, as it were.
And neither of these players checked the Lumberjack Cave.
That's true.
So I know the typical strategy these days is to wait till you have the boots because you can't get in there without the boots.
Yeah. But it's kind of out of the way, but the off chance that it's a late boot seed, there's progression there. The knowledge really does help you out with the way you can route other things in.
Yeah. So Solski getting a valuable piece of information here that we have not seen yet.
Let's hope for the runners it's not an Aga seed. I know Chad always likes Aga seeds, but yeah, just 10 arrows. So
okay,
looks like we don't have to worry about that today.
No, and that's a good, I guess, equalizing item as far as Andy not having to do that or not knowing.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, so we're getting a little healthier here on Andy's side, picking up that heart container in that fourth chest here at Thieves Town. I think we've gotten 2 items. He is opting to take the death. Doesn't have any items that he can defeat blind with.
Yeah, no items to be blind with, and can't even check the chest in the basement.
Correct.
So
yeah, very smart play to go ahead and get out of there. Solski giving us that ice rod cave check, going to be picking up his $100.
Ooh. Not quite $9.99, but you know,
almost.
With Rando, you can raise the gap.
Yeah. All right, so just $5 there in the brewery for Andy, and like we said, Solski picking up that $100. Let's see where Solski is going to opt to go next. I'm sure Andy's going to go ahead and do these normal Dark World checks that we see, dig game, potentially picking up the Smith. We'll see if he decides to do that and, you know, take him on the tour of Dark World. Andy actually going to go ahead and play the arrow game for us, build up a little bit of cash. He actually doesn't have enough for the dig game, so this is a smart heads-up play here. Oh, are we going to get it? Are we going to get it?
Wow.
Oh, we got it.
Just going to get a little bit more.
Fantastic.
Yeah, make sure, I guess, maybe enough for pod later. Don't have to worry about it after that since, yeah, Andy's paid for everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. 299s in a row, you know, you see a lot of people try for that. Not the easiest trick to pull off.
No. There's when you watch it, it's so smooth. You just shoot, move, shoot, move. It's one of those things, they make it look so simple, but it is not.
Yeah, it's pretty precise.
Okay, so Solski doing some new checks in Eastern.
Yeah, Eastern fully in logic for him now. Lamp in hand as well as the bow. We can check at every chest. Another change here with V31 is that we see Andy getting a heart container from Dig Game. Dark rooms that have torches in them, basically they have to be that way along the entire path. But if you have Fire Rod, you don't need the lamp with the advanced logic. And that is the settings we are playing on. But with lamp in hand, you know, it's kind of the bread and butter thing. You just walk through and you can see where you're going.
Yep. So, seeing Andy look, we have the camera view looking a little discouraged at the moment. Probably a little worried that, you know, there's been no major progression. Been a lot of checks.
Yeah, taking a little bit of time here to kind of think about it. When you walk in here through Dark World, like he is, I mean, there are checks to be done. We got Hype Cave coming up. There's 5 items there. But, you know, you have a little bit of time to kind of think about where you want to go next. Like, where's this progression hiding? But, you know, we're seeing here on Solski's side that, you know, it's pretty much, you know, all
Death Mountain.
It's all Death Mountain from Eastern.
Flute-based, yep. Yeah, you definitely need that flute even to get to Death Mountain at all.
Exactly, yeah. And we see there's our 4th bottle with a blue potion in it for Solski. So that's going to, you know, I guess be the ultimate safety going down the line.
Right. So we're getting our first Hype Cave check, as far as I remember. I don't think Solski did this yet.
I know, we haven't seen Hype Cave yet, so this will be brand new. Oh, there's our Ice Rod. You don't want to see that when TR is a pendant because something could be locked away. Andy's getting his first sword here as well, so sort of an actual Hype Cave, I'd say. You know, a little bit of progression there for him. You know, Ice Rod's not great. You don't really want to see it, like I said, but the sword's nice. We actually have something where we can fight bosses and enemies with. Yeah.
So Andy going to return the Smith. Maybe gonna do the purple chest at this point.
That seems like a huge time commitment. I don't know if we'll see him dive back into Dark World just yet, but he's in the area, so it's on the table. But at this point, it's kind of going to be a situation of when is he going to go to Eastern, and he's kind of running out of checks, so that's got to be sooner than later.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we are. Yeah, Andy's running out of checks. Solski getting through Eastern, no problem.
I mean, if you're going to last location something potentially, which seems to be what may end up happening, you want it to be early. You don't want it to be very late in the seed, because when that happens, that's usually when you can't bounce back from it. So, I mean, this is obviously very far from over. We're nowhere near our go mode.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And all of the checks Andy did to...
Solski will end up doing those as well.
Yeah, very likely. The only thing maybe is not that Skullwoods dive so early, but...
Right.
So Solski having to opt for King strats, not going to get the sword in the library, but...
Doing a very good job of it there, just, you know, making it almost as quick as the sword. So Solski's setting up here for this quick kill. You want to shoot 5 to the right, just like that. And now, going to be delivering all 18 of these arrows. Very nicely done, picking up that map, but more importantly, getting that first crystal of the seed.
Yeah, 23... almost 24 minutes in. That's not bad, especially with the amount of progression you had, being able to go check so many things. But yeah, interesting. So Andy going to escape. Again, new information. We found the key in the back, which
So he'll be able to, you know, if he does the dark room, he's got that sword. It'll be a little easier to do. He could just, you know, go the entire way. But see, as you mentioned, Solski going to be heading into Dark World here in Village of Outcast area. Could be doing all those exact same checks we just saw Andy do.
Solski changing his mind. Oh, maybe remembering about that sword.
Yeah, I think that's probably exactly what he remembered. So heading down there to pick that up. Very heads-up play here because, I mean, you always want to pick that Master Sword up when you can, and Tempered's even better. But at this point, you know, at least we can damage Ganon if this is our last, you know, sword that these runners come upon.
Yep. One in Hype Cave, one in, well, on the library as we see. Ooh, so
there's Ether. Well, that gives us that Mire entry. So, you know, let's say we have to go to Mire. I mean, that's good news for Andy there, just because, you know, he's going to be checking that Mire area eventually. You know, Escape may start to slip away out of Solski's mind a little bit if we need to go dip into these pendants.
Yeah, very much. So I don't remember if we saw the map in the basement of Sanctuary.
Yeah, no, that was a $300 in Sanctuary, so this might actually be the map unless it's in Dark Cross.
Yeah, we'll see. So Andy
trying to set up that death ward, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, there's the map, but is gonna let this guard doing a heads-up job there of you know, not killing the guard. That's something you definitely don't want to do.
No, then you have to use bombs.
Yeah, and then you're depleting your ammunition there at that point.
Definitely. So Andy gonna go check that one. So we mentioned Solski's gonna have to do those checks. The flip side to that is, I mean, having that cane and boots, it's so much faster.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, all of this time that Andy does not have the boots, Solski's, you know, gaining on those checks.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we saw something similar to this in that play-in race. You know, with Fred getting those boots early with that sequence break, but you know, Andy's gonna come across those here at some point, I do believe, pretty shortly. But having to get through these ropes, doing a nice job in the Dark Cross area now. Just has to locate that chest. Going to be using that sword beam to light the way.
I'm not sure if that fall by Solski was intentional, but it might have been faster.
Yeah, a little bit, but looks like 3 bombs just in Escape. So Andy kind of giving a little bit of a head shake there, thinking about where to go next.
Yep.
Choosing to actually, looks like he started to get sank, so we may be getting the dark play up to Death Mountain here, which, I mean, you hate to see that because you know the flute would be, you know, so quick, but actually not going there. Going to be heading back into Kakariko area.
I wonder, now that Andy has a sword, maybe going to Thieves Town? Or
that's a very real possibility. That, or you know, you mentioned Purple Chest earlier. That is on the table. You know, you could potentially route the two together. You know, if you're in Andy's shoes right now, you're hoping, you know, as a runner, like, I hope I don't need to do the Thieves Town big chest, or the hammer shows up along the way.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see. I hope for Andy's sake, you know, Thieves Town comes up with something.
Yeah, for sure. Solski gonna give us a peek up here at the Bumper Cave ledge, just a heart piece. So nothing of huge value there. We don't need the cape today, really. No agate requirement for it. And I guess, you know, there is that outlying chance we need something from Spike Cave, but very unlikely in most cases.
Yeah, definitely. And there's, at the very least, there's ways around it if they do have enough hearts, or, you know, they have potentially 4 bottles that they can go fill with red potions. They already have a red potion as it is.
Yeah, and just trying to think through here. So I think Solski's just a mirror away from being able to clear out like Desert Palace, and actually does need a hammer before we can dip into Swamp. So,
yeah.
But we're in a. I mean, if you're Solski right now, you're feeling pretty good about yourself with the way this has kind of panned out for him at the moment.
It's true, and again, I think a very standard play from Andy is to avoid Eastern when it's a crystal. So, you know, if you're Solski and you've done this based off the metagame, yeah, where you're feeling pretty good.
I mean, yeah, that when it pays off, you know, when you know potentially somebody's gonna not last location it, but they don't like to go there unless they can route it in really neatly with a lot of other places, and then you make that play out there, get your progression item. That's, you know, that's a big feels good man type scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. So Andy hoping that the big chest does not have anything. I think we're pretty close to.
Yeah, and I mean, we do have that small key. So that is a possibility, but it could just be a map or compass. I saw that was 20 bucks there in Thieves Town, or the attic. So I'm not sure what our map and compass situation is just yet. I'll have to see on Andy's pause menu when he decides to switch items.
Yeah, I think I remember you mentioning 2 items at the beginning before. So if we go off that, then Andy is
right. Yeah, we just have 1 item left, and hopefully, for Andy's sake, it's on blind.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 chance to not have an important item locked behind the hammer.
Andy doing a decent job here. Going to have to manage his health a little bit. With having a sword, the blind fight pretty much can be scripted. Nothing too crazy with that, but going to make use of these pots to get a little bit of extra help. Yep. There's our map, so it looks like at this point it's a 50-50 shot.
Yes. As well, the red potion, just for some extra safety. Solski about to get the Master Sword and the Ice Rod, which, I mean, got the bow, but it's a more convenient way to kill Lando.
Solski kind of giving us a smirk there, shaking his head, seeing that Ice Rod. Like we were saying, you just don't want to see that when TR is a pendant. Just, it's not fun.
Very true. Yeah, in other seeds, it's like, oh, this is great. I don't have to search for, one of the most randomly available items.
So much is said about the Ice Rod, but it's just like it's never on the beaten path unless, you don't need it. But Andy doing a fantastic job there with that scripted blind fight and getting that 4th item, more importantly, so knowing he doesn't have to come back here potentially, or leaving behind or orphaning a single check. But now Solski making use of the flippers here and going to be heading around those hammer pegs. It looks like he's skipping out on the pod area for now, but going to be potentially, I guess, checking Pyramid and Catfish for us. We'll see what kind of items those checks are hiding for us today.
Yeah, that'll be good to see. Very smart play to, look at what you have available instead of going to some other dungeons potentially that could be done.
Yeah, correct. Solski getting a little too happy there with that spin speed, jumping down a little early, but it looks like 3 bombs just on the pyramid ledge, so no progression there. We'll see if he opts to head up to Catfish or decides to go ahead and head to the pod area. He's heading north, so I guess we're going to go visit Catfish today.
I mean, could hook shot back around and just ignore it all, but probably unlikely. Andy following up the purple chest, hopefully it's Mirror. I think
Mirror would really help him out here with being able to kind of route some things in quickly together that Solski didn't. But unfortunately, just a piece of heart. So, Andy kind of seems to be thinking about where he's going to go next.
Probably Eastern. I don't think.
I think that's literally the last place. So yeah, here we go over to Eastern for Andy. Solski, meanwhile, checking Catfish, and as we wait for the Grumpy Fish to come up, just a heart container, but opting to pick that up. I believe that's just our 7th or 8th heart. So, you'd like to be comfortable with at least maybe, with runners like these, maybe at least 7 to 8, just so you got a little bit of margin of error there.
Absolutely. So we'll see if Andy ends up saving and quitting right after checking the back of the house or finding the flute. Again, maybe trying to avoid that Eastern Palace play.
And this is something, one of the good things about with SpeedGaming Live, we kind of get to see these runners' live reactions. So we'll see if there's a reaction here once that flute pops up.
Oh.
Yeah, seeing that, he knows that that's potentially something that Solski may have gotten early, but not opting to do the save and quit. So he's going to go ahead and dive Eastern. This is, as you were mentioning, a safer play. Go ahead and check it now just in case.
Yep.
Solski getting his Quake medallion, as we determined earlier, useless, but from the hobo. So, if we, want to use it, I guess we can. We can waste some time with it.
Yeah, good for killing those water spiders and swamp on your way in to fight the boss.
Absolutely.
Maybe going to check Lake Hylia?
I don't think he's done the Zora area, so fluting back down, that's very heads-up play there, not having to swim back down, using the flippers to stand up in the shallow water, flute back to 8. So off we go. Solski going to be cleaning up those checks that Andy's already done as well. So this will give Andy a little bit of time to kind of bounce back into this.
Yes. As we said, again, it's minimal, unfortunately, because the difference in the boost, I think it's like it's like 2 times as fast essentially to walk anywhere.
Yeah, boots can be, the longer you don't have them, it's just a huge advantage or disadvantage depending on which side of the table you're sitting on.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, with players as skilled as these, Solski's barely bonking, so it's just time save as well, having those flippers. Andy swam over as well, but just being able to dash, swim, take the short path.
All right, so Solski finding out just 10 arrows. Big waste of time there from Zora, but saving and quitting. We'll see where Solski decides to go next. Meanwhile, Andy is going to be clearing out this, and we know that if he's going to, go ahead and do everything here, we're going to go get nothing but 3 bombs out of the back on the vanilla big key chest.
Right. Pull up our challenge for who else we have playing in this tournament. Now's a good time. They're doing some checks to go over our brackets. So far we have had OC play Sterling a lot. We have F. Coughlin, the winner of the play-in race last night. The one that you were commenting.
Yeah, that was he put on an excellent show with that one, and I look forward to seeing more from him. I believe he's playing the lane later. So, like we said, tons of big names here with this event, and I'm expecting a lot of exciting races coming down the stretch.
Definitely, yeah. So Thelaine was another one of the people to play in the play-in race, taking first place in their group over Korek. So in the third match, we have Active Ogre versus A0. Then Gem versus Jet. 082. We have Bonta, one of the
seeded candidates that I think he was seeded 3rd overall. So got an auto buy into brackets, as well as Aussie, as we mentioned earlier.
Yep. So Bonta's playing Willard.
Yeah, that's. I remember hearing down in the tourney room that Bonta said you don't want to have to play Willard, but at this point, I mean, these runners, all 16 of them, it's like, do you want to play any of them really?
No, I don't. I definitely don't. There's a reason we're commentating, and
yes, absolutely.
Yep. We have Witty Words versus Jay Coper. Jay Coper, actually, both of them putting up a very strong groups. Witty, I don't think lost a single match.
Yeah, I believe you're right there.
And Jay Coper coming through in the race-off again. We have this match, Andy Versolsky and Matt the Ogre versus Superman Taylor.
So yeah, super stacked lineup, but Andy finally making the way over to Kakariko with that flute in hand. Going to be able to activate this, and now if you're in Andy's camp, you really hope he makes the play to the mire area first to get that piece of progression that's going to lead him to all the other items, because if we go to the mountain first, that's just going to be more time in Solski's favor.
Definitely. We talk about the logic consequences of Solski having the powder, but it's such a good safety item. Everything in the Dark World has anti-fairies or bunny beams that you can use to recover health. The developers, expecting the more difficult portion of the game, everything hits so much harder in the Dark World.
Oh, it really does. Solski doing a nice job to avoid those I guess crickets, the Dark World rats, as they were.
Yeah.
When 3 of them get there, all in one spot, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. He does have quite a bit of health, but with doing 2 hearts a pop, on green mail, they're nothing to kind of, you don't want to run into them too much.
No, not at all. Yeah, absolutely. So Andy having a bit easier of a time. Not that Solski faltered in it by any way, but it's definitely easier to be able to see that sword. Ooh, getting dead-rocked, unfortunately.
Yeah, you hate to see dead rocks pop up like this, but the most unpredictable enemy in this game.
Yep.
But luckily, the cabbages falling down didn't do too much damage to Andy. Got 3 hearts and going to be able to hopefully get on up the mountain. Solski realizing, shaking his head there like there's something potentially in that big chest. He'll kind of breathe that collective sigh of relief when he gets that final item from blind here, knowing the same thing Andy already does.
Yeah, and it's something, again, we as spectators, as commentators, have the lack of stress with that. So we know you're fine, Solski, but
yeah, it's much different, sitting watching, from here where we are, even at home on Twitch. You can speculate on what they should have done, but when you're in the driver's seat, you got to make a call in the heat of the moment. Both of them made the call to go into Thieves Town, so, but we'll see, this item come up here for Solski.
Solski doing a different version of the blind fight. It looked as if
Very
that was
solid,
the plan,
yeah. Yeah, nicely done. So Solski going to be getting his second crystal here at the 39-minute mark.
Oh, so we have been given an update from our tracker. There is an item in the Thieves Down Big Chest.
Oh, okay.
Compass was in the second chest. So thank you to our lovely tracker, Linkforce, for keeping us honest. And
yeah, we miscounted that when, with Andy going in twice, it was a little easy to miscount. So we do appreciate that.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a potential. We've seen that in other races in the past, but no idea if that's going to come out tonight. But Andy picking up his hook and his cane, shaking his head there with a lot of disgust there. That's one of those things of, man, that's just, it's terrible placement for those, because that was like the flute was the linchpin here for him.
Yep. Just opting to go right in.
Oh, looks like Andy's going to go ahead and make this play into Meyer. And
Probably.
we'll see if this pays off. It's going to be a little bit of a tough scenario here. Nothing that Andy probably can't handle, but, fighter sword, we've got no hammer, and we have no bow. He also doesn't have a fire source.
No, but luckily it doesn't need to beat the...
Correct.
So hoping probably to get lucky with the first few checks, find both items early, and just leave. So yeah, Andy going, I'm behind. I have to do what I can to, potential something Solski probably wouldn't.
Yeah, it's a very good heads-up play. Solski looks like he is making the play to escape now. Going to be picking up that Ether Medallion that Andy had already gotten. Almost like a happy accident, if you're in Solski's camp here. But given what these runners have done collectively, I'm kind of expecting to see something here in Meyer, if I'm being honest. Now, the question is it going to be Firelock? Because we do have that lamp available to us in the seed by this point.
Very true. We don't have another fire source, so I don't think there's a ton else that can be checked at this moment. There's no hammer to get to Hera. There's no mirror to get to Hera. Can't do desert. Can't do much of swamp. One chest.
Yeah, and no one ever wants to do that, but we need mirror to even do that. But that's such a long check for just one item.
Absolutely. Yeah, so a mirror away from that even. But
right, so there's just a small key there. We do have, I believe, at least 2 more checks, unless the big key shows up for Andy that he can check there.
Yep.
Without that fire source. But there's the Ether Medallion for Solski. Little smirk from him there, knowing, okay, well, now I can potentially dive into Meyer. The question is, do I want to?
Right.
Meyer is kind of like TR in a way, not just for the medallion requirement, but it's one of those dungeons when it's a pin that you really just want to be able to fully avoid it and never go in it because of how slow it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. The lack of fire rod, a major deterrent at this point, and bombos you can't even get in. But
right.
If they do find it, it's still one of those like, oh, it's one item potentially, or it's a couple items if you get lucky and it sends you down that side path. But
yeah, absolutely.
Long time.
Well, we did see one item here on Andy's screen. We did see that heart container. So there is one more item here in Meyer. Solski going to be doing that death warp. There's our big key. So Andy has one more check that he can do. Not sure if that's going to be our second item or not. Only time's going to tell.
Yes. You'd be able to use that hook shot to get across. Yeah, Solski doing the death warp. Let's see.
Just a small key, so there's something either on the boss or on that Firelock side for Andy, so kind of a little bit of a gamble there, not having that fire source, but needing something kind of to go his way. Unfortunately for right now, everything seems to be going Solski's way at this point. If you're in the Andy camp or if you're in Solski's camp, everything is going exactly the way you want it to go.
Very, 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 very true. So Andy's going to get boots, most likely, as well as the bow, the lamp.
Yeah, but that was, 2 major pieces of progression up here on the mountain. So that's going to, that may make him want to go ahead and dive into Eastern, but we know that there's nothing of value really there. He actually, I think he did get all 3 items. I think it was just a map that was on the Armos Knights. So he may try to put that off, but neither one of these runners have gone into Palace of Darkness yet.
No. Waiting for that hammer.
Yeah, and you kind of want to be able to do it all at one time, but with the way things are panning out, unless the hammer shows up here for Solski in Misery Mire, which is, he's kind of following in Andy's footsteps, Pod is probably going to be our play.
Pod is probably going to be the play. So I guess Andy gonna get flippers as well here, making pod possible. We'll see how this goes. The next couple checks on Andy's side are gonna be very. I'm not gonna say make or break.
It's definitely going to tell us a lot about how this is probably going to go down the stretch. But yeah, like if something is here for Solski on that firelock side, that's major progression. If we get a hammer here, it could be a very long while, basically almost the last location before Andy goes back to check that.
Yep. Again, if you're in Andy's camp, you do not want to see progression in Mire. The longer Solski spends searching for it as well, the better.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to recall, Solski did do Spiral Cave.
Yes.
Andy is opting to do that now, and I believe that was just a trash item. But yeah, I couldn't quite remember if we did that or not.
Yeah, I think Bo was in Hookshot Cave with boots. Yep.
Yeah. So that'll be a nice piece of progression for Andy. He's going to open up a few things, and he's maybe following Solski's footsteps, doing those boots checks near the sanctuary spawn point, and on top of that, just he's going to have to make up some time getting the powder as well here, but still not able to check Magic Bat. No hammer or mirror to make that possible.
All right, so we got some important checks coming up on Solski's side.
Yeah, this could potentially tell us a whole lot of how this is going to go down the stretch, but just a heart piece, so that's going to be really good for Andy there. Solski just getting a heart piece, so going to be heading back, probably getting that second item. And I don't know if we're going to see him clear it or not. I think he might decide to leave, but if you're here, there is the off chance. I haven't really thought about what it could be, but pedestal could come into logic, I do believe. Opting to save and quit, though, not opting to go ahead and finish this out.
Yep. Can't be the hammer, can't be the fire rod. Those are the two. It could be the mirror.
It would be kind of off, like an off chance for it to be the mirror, but
yeah.
Definitely possible. But yeah, pedestal's kind of for the Twitch chat out there, it's probably going to be clinging to life support at this point.
Yep. Might be the book, which could lead to tablets.
Yeah.
Like it's.
That's even, kind of a more niche possibility because, it's still like it would have to be the book leading to something like we mentioned, like mirror or something.
Yeah. So, Andy about to get bow and boots. Solski.
So, Solski looks like he's going to be... I'm not going to be surprised if we see the pod play, just because I think that's all he's got left.
Pretty much. Yeah,
so,
Solski did dip Skullwoods.
And, honestly, these guys obviously can't see what we're seeing. They're just seeing their own screen, so... Solski may think, oh crap, I'm going to last location something in Palace of Darkness, not knowing that, kind of the beginning game has gone his way for the first, 40-plus minutes.
Yep. Andy needing to take a chance somewhere.
And that's the problem, I think, is there's not really a whole lot of opportunity to take a chance.
Nope.
We're seeing Andy, he has not opted to go get that sword, which kind of makes sense. We may see him make that play shortly after here, but,
yep.
That's technically progression, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to open anything up to give him an advantage over Solski.
Right, and, I mean, remembering that there's a Master Sword there is enough, because Andy can go get that at any time. If you're still at Fighter before you enter GT, just go get it. Or if you gotta go kill Cold Stare.
Oh, and Solski taking a hit there from the Spear Guard, saying not today. So making him pay a little extra for the Kiki toll. Having to pay that $10 again for the first little checkpoint, but he's got plenty of money, so this won't be too big of a deal.
Yep.
And we're going to get our first check and first look here into Palace of Darkness.
Now, it might be bow locked, but that's fine. We have the bow.
Yeah, that's a very real possibility. Andy hasn't really been in this area yet, didn't have the flippers, so the fact that he got bow is going to kind of make it a little more appealing once he gets to that area.
Mm-hmm. So I think hammer or something has to be in here. Some sort of progression. I think we're almost out of checks if there's any left. I
mean, if you're ruthless and you want to see something crazy, maybe we see like a fire rod or bombos, and then we have to go dive Ice Palace without a hammer. As a runner, you never want to do that.
No.
It's not fun.
It's always an iced tea room too if you have to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of a miserable feeling.
Yeah, not a good time.
So Andy headed to Eastern now. Going to clear this up. I think that there's no items left here, but we do need the crystal, and on top of that, it kind of gives him an opportunity to do something that has to be done. He's got the boots. He can do it as pretty much as optimally as possible.
Yeah, just get a little boost of confidence.
Yeah, and a little bit of time to think, like, okay, let me take a deep breath while I'm doing this kind of muscle memory thing here, and, think about what my next play is going to be.
Absolutely, yeah, just taking out the bow right away. Has the lamp now. Easy. Get yourself back in the game. It's so hard to, especially when you're on a stage, keep your mindset positive.
Yeah, when, it's easy. What's so unique about this tournament is, when we've played this, when you've watched races of this in the past, it's all been like players in their own environment, in basically their office or their game room or whatever, their living room.
Comfortable.
And now you're here on a stage, you're in a foreign environment, you're playing on your own equipment to an extent, and but the players have a white noise into their ear as well as the game audio, so they can't hear what's going on around them. So there's a lot of things that come into play here that don't when you're playing at home.
Yep. I mean, they're seated in such a way that their monitors, they're facing each other with the monitors kind of in between, so they're not you can't see each other's screen, as is tradition with something like this.
Right.
But
you also can't make faces at each other, kind of taunt your opponent as well. That would it'd be kind of rude, but
kind of funny though.
It would be entertaining.
Yeah.
All right, so Andy dropping him in on the Armos fight. It looks like he is going to be setting up for that quick kill as well. Just needs 18 arrows here. And as long as he doesn't miss one, we're going to miss that red cycle just like Solski did. And very nicely done. Pure arrow conservation, 18 and 18 only. So that's going to be Andy's second crystal. We'll see where he decides to go next. Meanwhile, Solski still traveling here through Palace of Darkness. Had to go right side and take that death to come back here. But looks like most of these items are going to be in the back.
Yep. So we'll see where Andy goes now. But again, not that far behind.
Yeah, it's not. It's like we talked about. Early on it looked like Solski had a huge lead, but we talked about the checks that Andy had done. Solski's done them as well. So at this point, it's everything's kind of balancing itself back out.
Yep. Yeah, and it's so hard to pick early on who's winning in a randomizer because
exactly
we don't know.
The easiest time to tell that 100% is like when do you have go mode, and when you hit go mode, how many crystals do you have? So how close are you to GT and how close are you to beating the game?
Yep, we've converged, but again, two very good runners. Both great NMG times, which is the standard speedrun, kind of the most popular speedrun for this game. No major glitches.
Oh, there's a cape. So didn't really open up anything for us. Spike cave, not on the table, no hammer. But we got 3 keys, so there's going to be something in this chest. Maybe map or compass. I don't know which ones we've picked up just yet. There's the map. So looks like we're going to get some stuff here in the dark maze.
Interesting. Yeah.
If you're Solski, I think you're kind of hoping for the hammer here, just so you don't have to come back.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm kind of expecting to have hammer here, honestly, just based on the way things have panned out. But Bombos, we just mentioned that early on when they first came in here. There's that potential for Ice Palace now, and you don't want to have to do that.
Big key right there. That's good. Had to be there.
Yeah, had to be, because it can't be locked behind itself here. We need that to fight the boss.
Yep. Okay, so just to come, so that's Ice Palace.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be doing that. The good news here, no matter which seat you're sitting in, if something like a hammerless Ice Palace comes into play, most times that's going to be a last location, because that's kind of a galaxy brain thing if you were to go dive that and it pay off super early.
Yeah, no, I know, again, we talked about playing to your opponent, do the things you would never expect. That one's so far out there.
Mm-hmm. And Solski making the play up the mountain again. Not sure what he's heading to do. Didn't he knock out everything here? Oh, Turtle Rock is actually on the table.
No hammer yet.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But maybe Solski has forgotten this, or we're just off the mark, or
something.
Yep.
He's realizing it now. He may have been trying to make that TR play, which, there still could be some progression in there, but no hammer. He can't unlock it yet. it's one of those really weird situations when you're thinking, TR doesn't require a hammer, but you kind of forget all that little puzzle that's just so like muscle memory. You don't even think about it.
Yep.
That's what requires that hammer to get inside.
Yeah, and you were talking about too the not being in your comfort zone. When you play at home, you have your tracker. You know, everything's right in front of you. A lot of players don't have the tracker. They're using paper trackers or you know, just taking notes. So again, it's another one of those like, I'm not in my comfort zone. Normally, I would have all this information readily available for me.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, speaking on that a little further, I think there was a race, and not to be a detriment to any runner, like I think you forgot one runner in a previous race in this event forgot a big key, and that's something you just never really see happen from, you know, these top tier runners. It's just there's so many factors that come into play when you're at a live event, and I think pretty much this is the first one of these. So this is a new experience for literally everybody at this point.
Yeah, definitely in a tournament setting, anyways. I don't think we've had anything like this at this scale. And I apologize if there are. And we are totally missing this.
I know there's been events like, you know, at GDQs and such, but of this scale, as you mentioned, I think, oh, Andy going to give us, looks like the hover over to the right side. This is a pretty tight trick. And pulling it off, so avoiding having to do the arrow or kill the mimics on the other side. So that's a little bit of a time save for Andy, but does have to take a ton of damage here.
Yeah, got a quarter heart the restored health as well. So
yeah, that's not something you want to see.
Just, you know, replenishing the arrow stock, noticing, well, might as well. You got time.
Yeah, time to kill for sure. So Solski making that play into Ice Palace now. I mean, luckily, you know, there was no chance. Andy's going to realize this soon, too. There's no chance really of a Galaxy Brain. You know, we mentioned, like, going here early without Hammer. That would be wild. But, you know, Bombos being where it was, you know, it's kind of, like, becoming really linear. And I guess the difference really between these two runners at this stage is the time that Solski had the boots and Andy did not. But other than that, they've done the exact same checks, minus a couple that really didn't, you know, it was a blessing for Andy that, you know, didn't have the fire side of Meyer to do.
Yep. Yeah, Andy taking another death warp, it looks like, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Faster than running back up.
Yeah, Pod's another place when you're having to route in, you know, and do all these checks. You really want to have the mirror as well. It just makes it's, you know, we talk about tidy routing, you know, just making everything really neat. The mirror really helps tie all that in together. But, you know, death warps are the next best thing, I guess.
Yep. I always this room is kind of nonsense with the two skeletons on Solski.
Yeah, it's I love that, you know, if one's down, you know, it counts as a kill on the other one. So
yeah,
it's a nice little time save being able to do that.
Yep.
All right, so Solski opting, realizing, you know, hey, I don't have Hammer, I can't complete this. There's no point doing this bomb jump. I'm here to check chests.
Yep. 4 hearts. Don't bother wasting.
Yeah, and if Hammer shows up here, he can clear it. You know.
Go.
He's got Kane, so he doesn't have to worry about doing the crazy, you know, developer-intended puzzle, you know, to go all the way around to do a switch.
Yeah, that's a nice thing. Hoping for that hook heart, which is a thing that I don't fully understand, but sometimes you get 2 hearts when
yeah, it's something about the way the pick, like, it hits, and it counts almost like 2 hearts hitting you or something. Like, it's something with the pixels, and, like, I've heard diagonals have something to do with it as well, so... yeah, I'm not 100% sure how it works, but it's always nice when you can get that second heart.
Yeah. Can we just call it witchcraft? Witchcraft?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so there's another key for Solski.
That'll be good. Be able to go back up, do that right side without having to fall back down, go around, and
Using those boots there. The good thing is, you know, the boots, you know, it looks like you're kind of, you know, spinning your tires when you're trying to start, but if you're on ice, you tap those boots, it basically locks you into place, which is really nice to be able to do. There's our big key. So going to be able to check the big chest as well, and we still have iced tea room on the table.
Yep. Can't go any further on that right side, but able to check the big chest, as you say, can't beat Cold Stare, but
yeah.
I mean, I think we have to find, again, another place where we have to find something. We're very likely to.
Yeah, something's got to appear. You said it. Something's going to be in iced tea room.
It's always iced tea room. I hate iced tea room so much, but because it's never the one you can go to first. But it's always the one that has
what you need.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Miserable.
All right, so one thing to note here, Solski did take a couple of hits there from that anti-fairy down to almost no magic. There are some along the way. If we get hammer here, you know, we can get some magic to refill that. There it is. You hate seeing that, I swear.
I'm so sorry.
This seed. Oh, man, getting some crowd reactions from that, too. That is just awful. Solski laughing it off, just thinking, man.
Solski having a time.
See, here's the thing. You know, the good news is when you're playing these randomizer races, whatever garbage you're having to deal with, at least your opponent has to deal with the exact same garbage.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's when it is misery, you've got the company.
Oh yeah, for sure. But this is since he's full cleared, this is going to be really nice here for Solski. Does have that cane, and I do believe there's a small key on Cold Stare, so the logic, quote unquote, going to be requiring that cane for him to go down there. But it's going to be able to refill his health a little bit there with that powder.
There's 2 magic potions.
And he also has a blue, so I think he's going to expend that now.
Very smart.
Just to go ahead and, you know, finish up Cold Stare.
Oh.
Bonking into that block.
What? Oh, okay. I thought that was a thing that some trick that I'd never heard of.
Yeah, I was like, well, what is happening? But Solski kind of shrugging it off. No big deal. We're going to go drop in on Cold Stare now. Make use of that hammer.
Yep.
So now that we have hammer, so pod's clearable, we've got the opportunity to check the hammer peg game. Now, both players have kind of orphaned that. And it's not really going to be something that we may see them do. So, you know, super early. You know, it's just way out of the way and time-consuming to do. Now, the good thing about Bombos here, so Cold Stare's outer shell is going to melt really quickly. Solski opting to go ahead and use the Master Sword with slashes, spins. You know, the spins do tempered sword damage. Now, Andy, one thing to consider, is on Fighter Sword. So once he gets into the situation, may see hammer strats out of him.
May see hammer strats, definitely. I don't remember if... I know we are missing 1 key. Okay, so the other 2 items are... We got a key, a compass, and a map left. So Solski keeping better track of the items than...
Yeah.
You know.
Ooh, taking a hit there, making sure to expend that red potion. Taking another hit. This could be a little costly if he were to take a death, but it looks like he took out the last 2 with a spin slash. Very nicely done.
Yep.
Clutching that out. There's our compass. So I guess all the keys were accounted for.
Yep.
No, there's some on the right side, I guess.
Yeah, there's going to be one on the right side, and in the big key chest,
there
maybe.
might be an item. I'm not sure. I didn't. Did you count those? I sure didn't.
Yeah, we have 2 checks left, and we're good.
Okay.
I didn't count the items. I just am able to actually keep track of this one dungeon.
All right, so Andy not too far off from his hammer. Let's see what Solski's going to decide to do. You've got a couple of options on the table now. We mentioned that 1 item in Thieves Town that we kind of forgot. Our tracker kept us in line, but there's that opportunity. I don't really expect to see anybody head there. It looks like Solski going to head over to fluting to the 5 spot, going to be heading back into Palace of Darkness to finish that up, to get one of those, or the second actually 5/6 crystal. That's going to put Pyramid Fairy in logic for us.
Yes. So Andy having to go back up and around because of the Ice Palace bomb jump. So again, Solski making that decision, hey, I'm going to have to do it anyways.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not sure if it was muscle memory that made Andy go ahead and, you know, hover around the Ice Palace bomb jump instead of just going through it vanilla, but at the same time, maybe some heads up thinking, okay, hammer's got to be here, so, you know, or something else. So it's, you know, maybe some magic conservation. You know, I know Kane doesn't really use that much magic though, so.
Yeah, at the very least, Andy can just walk back up, push the block. It's not a huge deal.
Yeah.
And then use Kane. So maybe not a ton of difference.
So at this point, it looks like we're just a mirror and a fire rod from go mode. Yeah.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah. Gotta do.
That's kind of usually the way these late hammer seeds pan out. You know, you get everything but the hammer. It's like, all right, well, hammer's either going to be my go mode or next to go mode. In most cases.
Yep. Oh, those are some nice drops on Andy's side.
They were.
Full magic and a fairy.
And I think they both have the bug net, so, you know, I mean, I don't expect them to waste time picking up a fairy, but, you know, you never know when you might need it. Cold Stare, not always the kindest boss to have to deal with.
Yep. Andy going back to confirm or deny the fact that I can
count.
Yep.
Yeah, I was so focused on where's that progression. I don't know what items we have and haven't found. So,
All right, we got a map.
So there's a map, and I think this is going to be the key that we were missing.
Yeah, very likely. Again, I might totally be wrong. Oh, I was wrong. Wow.
Wow, that's
Yep. Nope. That was my bad.
that is huge. So we talked about there are 2 items that we needed for go mode, mirror being one of them. There it was.
So both Canadians can't deal with thinking in the cold, I think, is the Solski and myself can't just struggling.
Let's see.
Yeah. Again, a testament to Andy's experience in play. Just even thinking through what was.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you mentioned the playing safely. Solski may know. One thing we may need to ask him. Did he know there was another item there? Did he miscount? On top of that, there is the off chance that maybe he thinks he feels behind. So maybe Andy. He thinks Andy made that play earlier. So now he's trying to make up some time, and unfortunately, it's going to be a detriment to him not having that mirror. So Andy going to be able to go ahead and full clear out Swamp Palace, be able to, talking about tidy routing, being able to do that and then do the Pyramid Fairy right after if he does pod as well.
Absolutely. And, if we get them in for an interview, we're not going to tell either of them that I couldn't count either.
Yeah, we'll keep that between us.
Yeah.
Chat, you can keep that quiet.
Yep.
So.
Please don't tell.
All right, so a very clean Helmsword fight there from Solski. Master Sword and arrows, super easy. Just the 17 hits on the hammer or the mask. So no big deal there.
No bomb strats. No one should do bomb strats. Bomb strats are silly.
I mean, I think Andy down to just 2.5 hearts here. Gonna have to be a little careful, but there we go. Getting that final hammer hit in. Yep. Take it down cold stare. Very nicely done. I really don't know where it feels like things have swung into Andy's favor very quickly just because of that one item.
Yeah.
That mirror being such a huge piece of progression. And we talked about I made the comment earlier, you don't want to last location something late in the game. And we're kind of starting to get into our end game now.
So we did miss, it looks like Solski got the fire rod off Helmasaur.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I totally missed out on that. So I guess we are in... We're in what we like to call no mode. We can see between the 2 racers, what's what, and now we know where all the items are. Andy now having a fire source, no mirror in hand, going to be heading to desert. So going to be checking checkerboard cave and desert area for us.
Yep, just checkerboard cave, do desert again. Another required crystal. So Andy making progression. Solski. Gonna be doing. Solski can full clear Total Rock at this point, which is not good.
Yeah. There's a lot has kind of opened up because of hammer.
Yeah.
And this is really starting to look like potentially a last location. I'm hoping for Solski not. Maybe he has a realization, says I need to go back to ice. But
yep.
Very it's one of those scenarios of at that point when you want to leave something behind, take a gamble. You kind of have to think maybe It makes or breaks it, and I can't second guess myself.
Yep. So where is that? So, again, the key was missing because they need a key to get into that room where the magic is. So what key did Solski leave behind because Solski probably thought, I don't have a key.
Maybe he didn't pick. There's a key under that pot. And maybe he just opted not to pick that up because he had plenty. Thinking I don't need to go into that room. So that's an option there, is that key under the pot. So that's a possibility. But Solski having Fire Rod going to be heading into Skull Woods again. Check this out in the back. I don't know. Did we get a single item here? There are 2 total.
Yeah, I think
we got 1.
I think we got 1.
So there's something in the back. If you're these runners, which you kind of want to see at this point, you want to see either a Tempered Sword show up. Or your 3rd sword, rather, and on top of that, you kind of maybe silvers if we're not going to get that 3rd sword. But both of these guys very well adept at doing Master Sword Silverless Ganon. Just it takes forever, so you just don't want to have to do it when you're sweating. Is my opponent going to finish while I'm in the Ganon fight?
Palms definitely sweaty. For those that maybe have not done a race, or I'm sure after an extended period of gaming, palms definitely get sweaty in this, and it's slippery controller is a
hindrance.
Yeah.
It really can mess up your execution. You know, your muscle memory when playing games like this, when you've played hundreds and countless number of seeds or the vanilla speedrun, any kind of outside factor can really mess you up. And you know, kind of going back, we're circling around back to being in this foreign environment. You know, in a semi-public type setting at this convention, seeing how players perform with the spotlight on them.
Yep. I mean, we could look over and wave at them. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that.
Yeah, that kind of falls into the category of the making faces at each other.
Yeah, exactly. We
so
can't make
really
faces at them either.
We could make faces at each other, but we won't do that either. So.
No.
All right, so both players in a boss fight here, new ones as well, but Andy doing a fantastic job with the hammer strats, taking down Landmo, and same for Solski, except on Moth. Moth being one of those super unpredictable enemies, but there's that second item in Skullwood, so Solski not going to be wasting any more time inside there doing random checks. So that's good news for Solski because he knows, okay, I don't have to go search for anything else here. It points him back to that mirror just sooner than later.
Yeah. We're waiting for. I'm not sure what Solski's going to do next.
Oh, maybe not. Headed back into Skullwood, so maybe I miscounted the items.
We are also live and under the spotlight. We are live.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on us. Luckily,
Not nearly as much as the runners. We're not trying to claim that. Can't play that card.
All right, so Andy going to be checking the magic bat now with that powder. So we know that's really not something he has to do, but we talked about those convenience items, the second or another sword. We talked about the silver arrows that could be a thing, or the second bow rather, since it's now in V31, it's progressive. But just 10 arrows, not quite a bow, but close.
I mean, relevant to the bow. You were close.
Yeah, it was close.
I'll give you like a half mark.
Yeah, I mean, we're so used to seeing the old AG arrow, for the silvers, but now we just get the nice fancy bow with the silver arrow attached to it.
Ooh. You think it's actually like a bow upgrade? You get like a long bow to use the silvers?
Oh, that would, long range, that would be nice.
I feel like silver arrows would probably be way more than wood. You might need a little bit more power. But
I mean, Link's a pretty strong guy, and should be okay to handle it. I mean, he swings the sword around a whole lot. His arm's got to be pretty strong. But speaking of swords, Andy picking up that level 2 Master Sword now. So
we are tied in weaponry.
Yeah, Andy's done, we talked about low percent as well early on, so Andy's done a fantastic job. Solski as well, because Master Sword, if you're familiar with the vanilla low percent, I about said slow percent, but the low percent route, it involves just the Master Sword. But dealing with these Dark World bosses with just Fighter Sword and making use of your other items that are attached to the Y button, is a testament to these guys' skill.
Yep. So Andy likely to full clear Swamp. I mean, not having the fire rod, not being in go mode.
And I gotta say, being in his shoes, I like this play.
6 items.
There's one item left in pod for him, and he doesn't know that's his go mode. But the fact that there's 1 versus 6, this is you want to go to where the dense items are.
Yeah. This will be Andy's last crystal, if I'm reading our tracker right.
He still has
before having to go back into pod to get another crystal, which is where our fire rod is, as far as I know.
So yeah, if we see the potential, if Andy's like, I'm going to do as many dungeons as I possibly can, then that's exactly where he'll potentially go next. But if you're in Solski's camp here, it's going to be one of those things that you want to see Andy full clear this out, doing left side, whether it be through a double dip or just going full left to begin with. That's going to give Solski a little more time to do some more of these checks. But it looks like with that hammer, he might be headed into TR. That's going to be quite the time sink if he's headed there.
Yep, being able to full clear with only a Master Sword. So Solski said we want to see more swords in Turtle Rock. We want to see silvers. Things to bring this game closer.
Yeah, and if we were to get another sword and the silvers there, we know Andy's never going to get those. So that could, in a situation where they're both in GT near the same time, even if Solski's a little behind, that equalizer going to Ganon could be a potential, something to keep an eye on. But TR not the fastest dungeon to have to full clear.
No, definitely not. Yeah, you don't want to see on Solski's side the book, the mushroom, anything that takes away from those checks that
Yeah.
Solski can pull the pedestal at this point, not missing a couple of items to do it.
Yeah, we still haven't seen anything in Tower of Hera, so that is an option to us, but it's a little inviting since it's the green pendant. There's an item behind it, but not so much, I guess, in a way with, Solski's already completed everything in the eastern and pod areas.
Okay, so Andy finding Tempered, that is a huge boost to find in Swamp, because then you can get the quick kill on...
Absolutely. So that is going to, Andy's going straight to the back, and I think we got an item in the first chest. So we've got the potential of a God Swamp, as we call it, meaning the swamp map and compass would be on that left side, and you never have to waste time going there.
Yeah, Big Key could be in the big chest, or again in the some variation of those three. You just might never have to look.
Yeah, and that's where, like, the player skill comes into effect quite a bit. It's not just the physical execution of the game, but the mental aspect of the randomizer thinking, okay, this is how many items are here. I've got to count them. And knowing your item counts, especially if you have to double dip a dungeon. But there's the Big Key. Ooh, there's the mushroom. So that's going to be kind of good in a way. Maybe Andy goes and flutes, turns that in, gives Solski a little bit of time to potentially, clear this on out and maybe get back into ice.
Yeah, maybe Swamp will have the book as well on Argus. Again, 2 more checks that Andy could maybe do before dipping back into pod.
And when you're in a race like this, I kind of feel like the allure is more to doing the dungeons. It seems like that's what most players gravitate towards, is always to be clearing the dungeons. Solski taking a death. Oh, you hate to see that.
Yep, some grilled eggplant right there. All right, so this is the quick kill where you hook dash, keep your sword out.
Very nicely done.
Can one cycle that.
Yeah, getting the zero. I guess some people call it the zero cycle, and he's getting the quick kill there in the second phase as well. Very nicely done there by Andy, but that he made that look super easy. That is not an easy trick to do.
No, I think I tried it for about 5 minutes before hucking my controller at a wall. Just gave up on it forever.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so first try for Solski on these chain chomps. Making it through. Well done there.
Chain chomps do a ton of damage. They need to go back to Mario and stop getting in our Zelda.
Yeah.
But
who let Bowser make a dungeon?
Yeah.
This isn't Zelda Maker. That's, what, Link's Awakening, right? The new one?
I think so.
Yeah.
All right, so this is good for Solski. Andy heading back into Swamp Palace. Going to be checking that big chest, and I think we only found just that big key. So there's one item at large. Did we find the map and the compass?
I don't think we did. Found a compass at least. Okay, so
there's our compass. So we are missing a map. There's one item at large here. We'll have to see how that's going to go. I mean, at this point, what could it be? Another sword or silvers? Most likely it's going to be trash. It's not going to be anything of importance.
Again, you hope it's trash.
Yeah, you do.
No offense to Andy, of course, but we want to see a very close race.
You do. You want to be able to call a race like that, since we're here doing the comms for it. But at the same time, the chat wants to see a close race too. This race so far, kind of recapping what happened. If you're just joining us, Solski getting a very early flute in the Eastern Palace area, giving him quite the advantage. Looked like a very large lead, and they kind of rendezvoused here inside of in Ice Palace. And Solski leaving behind one item, and unfortunately that was the mirror. So that's the huge piece of progression that's going to unlock, go mode here for Andy here very shortly, with potentially heading into pod in a minute.
Yeah, definitely. So the reason that Solski probably thought, so there was a key still left, and it's the one under the liftable rock.
Right. And he probably thought that was what he was missing.
Yep.
Was the key.
Yeah, very, very easy mistake to make. Stuff to keep track of.
Yeah, it's things like that, maybe it comes down to the pressure. We'll have to, potentially ask about that.
Yeah, we'll try not to dwell on it too much.
Yeah, you don't want to dwell on stuff like that, but at the same time, you do want to at least ask, just the thought process. So Andy getting his final item here in the left side of Swamp and going to be leaving. We'll see where Andy decides to go next.
Yep.
Like we said, the potential for... looks like he's going to follow up on these overworld mirror checks. So thinking maybe that mirror is leading to more progression. A lot of runners like to, when they get an item, they want to follow that item maybe to the next piece of the progression puzzle. But
we had some past logics that were very much that style of V18 especially. Our spring 2017 I think was V18,
Right.
where it was like a tournament of breadcrumbs.
Yeah, and when it gets really linear, that's when you see a lot of seeds. And I mean, if you saw the late Friday night play-in race, I mean, the beginning game of that was very breadcrumby, super linear progression, and then it kind of changed down the stretch. But that's when it becomes a huge execution battle, and that's one reason why you see these runners practicing their no major glitches speedrun times. That's why you see them practicing just execution in general. Anything you can do to get an edge on your opponent when it comes to that type of scenario.
Yeah, exactly. Solski checking laser bridge, missing one.
Yeah.
Oh,
taking a death too. Oof.
Unfortunate there. That's going to put Solski all the way back at...
Yeah, you see the head
the
shake
big chest?
there. Yeah,
Yep.
he is. You see the head shake there from Solski, knowing that's going to be time costly. And if this doesn't pan out for him, which, I mean, we know here, seeing what we have, it's not going to. That's kind of... You kind of almost think, me being one of the runners, you think it's like, man, you just accept your fate at that point. You know what's going to be coming.
Yes. So for those wondering, we do have the the Link to the Past randomizer fall 2019 tournament coming up. And if you're wondering, how can I improve my skills? How can I, hope to make it to pass the qualifier round? We mentioned NMG. That's a great way to start. There's just play more. There's so many weird, unique scenarios where you gotta know how to move optimally. You gotta be able to, consider the logic, follow the best. What's the most optimal path? Like when you watch Randall a lot, there's this idea of what is the best play.
Yeah, and sometimes there's not a best play.
No,
it's just sometimes it's just dumb luck, and you look real smart.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Like you end up with these wonderful. You luck into things a lot, but there's the smart play is maybe what you want to make. Like, what is the most item dense? What is the where do you avoid orphaning checks?
Right.
That sort of thing. So just play. Just keep playing.
Yeah, and if you've never played, I mean, obviously, it's one of those things when you first get into this. I mean, some of the runners who play randomizer, they came in from the vanilla speedrun. Some of them just picked up randomizer and then kind of grew into the vanilla speedrun. So you don't have to obviously perform this, do one in a whole, one sitting. It's just fun to pick it up and try to learn it. But Andy now making his way to Helmasaur while Solski's going to be fighting Trinex. And what we do know here is that we're going to get that Fire Rod, and then Andy's going to be in go mode here very shortly.
Yep. About hour 22 minutes, and in a seed that looked like Solski was just gonna, literally run away with it, having gotten boots so early.
Flute, every convenient item for overworld progression or traveling. That's it was in Solski's favor at that point, but Andy not looking too confident there in the player cam, just kind of like, okay, well, we're in go mode now. This was kind of linear down the stretch. Maybe thinking, what do I do now? I'm going to have to rely on my execution with the remaining dungeons to, reel this home, because he doesn't know that Solski's here in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, exactly. Andy looking uncomfortable. We have the luxury of being able to see where both players are at once, but they have no idea. And I think on a seed like this, you would have to expect that. Because of how linear it became, and really was the entire time,
right
until that hammer.
Yeah, it's such a weird seed when you think about it. Just everything. This was kind of like you mentioned the old V18 logic, where it's like one thing just led to another. The only thing that really didn't lead to anything was the mirror.
Yep.
Solski doing a nice job there, finishing off Trinex, getting that red pendant. Nicely done. Unfortunately, for the randomizer portion, not the play we really need to make, but very good skill to knock that out.
Yep. We'll see where Solski goes next. Can't mirror to go to Hera. Maybe Spike Cave.
Yeah, Spike Cave's definitely something you want to check at this point, because there's not a whole lot else he can.
No. And you kind of have to look at it like, at this point, Solski very likely doesn't realize they're missing that item from Ice Palace.
I'm thinking, I'm trying to just think through what he has left. Hammer Peg's very off by itself. And
I think Solski did that.
Oh, he did Hammer Peg? Okay. So this may be his last check before thinking either I forgot something.
Got to go into Hera.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That is true.
Take the long way around.
Yeah, the long way around is never something you really want to have to do.
No.
Andy blazing through that torch room with the Gibdos.
That was good. I like that. That was good. Some good wordplay.
completely unintentional, but you know.
just take it. Just take it. It was good. It was well planned.
Totally planned. All right, so Andy dropping in on our favorite friend, the Moth. Tempered Sword in the hand, only going to take 4 hits, unless the spikes get in the way, but
yeah.
I think all the spikes only absorbed 1 of those. Nice fight there.
Yep.
So I do believe that is all 7 crystals for Andy. So
so we're going to see them both on Death Mountain for very different reasons.
Oh, yeah. Solski heading up to Tower of Hera, going to be checking out that green pendant.
Yep.
I kind of think, you know, if you're in Solski's shoes right now, I wonder if he's thinking, man, I should have cleared out Misery Mire when I had the chance, because once I do Hera, if Pedestal's in Logic, you know, you mentioned Mirror could be on Ped. Fortunately for Solski, it's not, but at this point, you know, you almost have to bank on it just with the route he's going.
Yep. I think, that would definitely be maybe in Solski. Again, we'll have to ask Solski how he was feeling at this point, but that might be the, you know, it's going through his head of, I need the mirror to be, because everything I've done has led me to the pedestal.
Yeah, and you know, this is why we play randomizer. You don't really know what to expect. You know, in an NMG race, you're gonna see, like with vanilla speedrun, you're gonna see one person get ahead, and then you kind of know how things are gonna pan out. But you know, with randomizer, it's a whole new element, a lot of luck involved, a lot of skill involved as well.
You know what we're never going to see, though, in randomizer compared to NMG? We're never going to see text. The devs wonderfully took most of that out.
I'm totally okay with that. Yep. A lot less mashing, you know. You don't have to worry about breaking your buttons, just, you know, mashing 100 times.
Or your fingers.
Yeah, that too.
Or, I don't know, maybe nails.
Yeah. All right, so Andy in Dark World doing the Super Bunny route, never really opening up that TR portal, but here we go, opening up Ganon's Tower here in just a moment, and I know Chat Love's probably going to be throwing a bunch of numbers up at this point.
Yep.
So there's 22 locations here in Ganon's Tower. Where do you think the key is going to be today?
I'm a big lucky number 7 person.
Key number 7?
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to see it on the right side. You know,
okay.
It depends on your routing, what number it is. I saw a few 8s thrown up here in the crowd, or the live crowd.
We got a 3.
A 5 and a 3, okay. So, yeah, we'll see where it goes. So, Andy opting to go to Hope Room first. 2 chests here, and you kind of have like $300.
Solski getting smacked by the.
See that?
I don't know what it's called. I'm just gonna call it a Sparky Boy.
I like Sparky Boy. It's pretty good.
One Sparky Boy.
Who would win? One Eggplanty Boy or a Sparky Boy?
Yeah. Well, the first time it was the Eggplant was not winning.
Yeah, that's true. So, okay, just a big 20 there in the Hera big chest, but Andy did get that key, opted to not go right side. Going to be doing this full left clear at this point, I think.
Yeah, or, well, I guess Dark Magician is start left, go right.
Yeah, so I don't think we're going to see Dark Magician strats. I think Andy will take out the Stalfos and finish the left side routing.
For those confused, the Dark Magician route is not based off the children's card game.
Yeah.
It isn't, you know, one of our players from very early on kind of ran with that strategy.
And the strategy, I think I'm told the deep lore of it was he didn't really like having to deal with those Stalfos, so he would mirror out of there just to not have to worry about killing him to reopen that door.
Yep.
And then that's kind of where that weird meta came in, but there's no real way to read where that key's going to be in these seeds. But Solski visiting Moldorm with having that Master Sword, a couple of spins, no problem there. Has that green pendant, so I guess we're probably going to see Solski go turn that green pendant in here very shortly.
Again, the less fetch quests,
the better for Solski.
And not to say, you know, not to be doom and gloom, it's going to take a miracle at this point. Andy's been known to kick his console.
Stranger things have happened for sure.
Get Grand Poober here quickly just to stomp.
See, in this, here we go. Looks like Solski's actually headed right back into Mire.
Yep.
Gonna maybe having some regret, thinking maybe I need to get to the pedestal. Didn't have a book to check it, nor the mirror to check it conveniently, but so we finally get blue mail here in Ganon's Tower. It's nice to be a little well armored and the big key. So I didn't keep count, but you know, if
1, 2, 3, 8.
It was in randomizer room, so if you guessed randomizer room, you win. But
I think it was 13.
That sounds about right. So off we go up. This is kind of textbook speedrunning at this point. These guys, both well-versed in the gauntlet of climbing Ganon's tower. And it's basically, you know, besides the blue mail, this is NMG at this point because we've got Tempered Sword and we don't have silvers. Yep. So I'm pretty sure we won't see Andy check any chests. Maybe a couple of convenient checks. Yeah. Just to see if silvers pop up, but wouldn't be surprised to see him not do that.
Very true. Maybe the Moldorm 2 chest. Just depending on the amount of health Andy has, just in case.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's also, you know, it's Andy we're talking about, so Moldorm 2 chest may not even be there.
Yeah. Yep. We'll see if he pulls out some of his strats he's famous for.
Yeah. Killing Moldorm 2.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so Solski going to be heading to Vitreous. Meanwhile, Andy getting started in these tough rooms at the Gauntlet. The devs kind of threw a little bit of everything in the kitchen sink at you, including a couple of mini bosses along the way, some repeats. You know, we're going to see Land Mode 2 here in a bit.
Yeah, it's no Mega Man, but we get a couple boss refights.
Andy making good use of that Fire Rod, taking out the Zizak as well rather quickly, so making... doing some amazing execution down the stretch. He does have a good bit of magic, so probably going to see some Fire Rod strats here. Just 2 Fire Rod shots each, going to take down one of these Landmo. And 2 spins doing those Gold Sword damage. So he's off to the Wizrobe room. Yep. Not a whole lot left to do.
No. Why don't you want to give us a recap of how we got to here?
Yeah, this siege just been kind of wild.
Back and forth.
It started, if you're in Solski's camp, then you were screaming in ecstasy of how great this had been. You know, early on we got the flute in Eastern. Both players started, and Andy basically the last location that flute, and that led to, you know, boots and bow. But the fact that Solski they got to Ice Palace almost about the same time.
Yeah, they got to Ice Palace about the same time.
Hammer ends up being in there, which you never want to see a hammer inside Ice Palace because who wants to go into Ice Palace without a hammer? Yep. And unfortunately, Solski decided to leave after that. We see Solski here did get those silver arrows. I did miss where those popped up at. But yeah, the mirror actually was there, and that is what Solski needs for go mode. Kind of banking on the pedestal at this point, but we know that that's pretty much going to be coming up empty for him. Maybe he gets another sword though, but
yeah, vanilla sword. I guess it's not a sword upgrade.
I mean, it's progressive.
Close enough.
Sort of vanilla, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and Andy opting to check nothing. Doesn't need silver arrows.
And here we go. Andy not worrying about Moldorm. Moldorm's just kind of doing his own thing in his own world. And we're going to be off to fight Aga 2 here.
Yep. Yep. We are, I guess, you know, one boss in the tower away, and then the final fight.
Yeah, it's going to be, like we were saying, kind of bread and butter for an NMG runner, or lack thereof of butter, but...
bread and temper.
Yeah, bread is a little bit of temper and some bread, but, you know...
I think that's toast.
Exactly. All right, so some kind of awkward patterns here from Aga 2. Yep. This one looks to be a little nicer, and Andy managed to getting a double out of it.
Folks, if you ever wondered where you're going to use trigonometry,
this is it.
It's playing retro games in a tournament at SG Live.
All right, so Solski pulling the pedestal. What do we have for us today? Just a little piece of love.
Oh.
And you see the look on his face there. He knows probably this is it. Like he had to have left something.
Yep.
All right, so you know we still have this cutscene. We have to wait for the bat, but to open up the hole. But Andy flying in now, thanks to that convenient Dark World bird. You know, just kind of pops up there. And we're off to Ganon fight. So the way this works with Tempered Sword, you need 12 slashes for phase 1, 12 for phase 2. Spins count double if you're keeping track at home. So that was technically 4 right there. Doing a nice job. Going to try and get the 1-in-1. Looks like he did set that up. I'm going to be using some dash pokes. These count as 1. Just needs 12 more to advance on to phase 3. I think he pulled that off very nicely done. I mean, I should have been counting. It was super easy for me to watch. I'm not playing the game.
I didn't say anything because I counted 11. I'm like, I'm going to wait. Clearly,
I think
we've
he got
seen Andy.
that 12th one was like up.
Yeah,
So.
no, clearly we saw before in Ice Palace, Andy has a better counter than I am.
Yeah, exactly. We weren't going to talk about that.
No. Well, we won't tell them.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. All right, so that is the final slash here for Phase 3. Going to try and get the spin in. There's one silverless hit, so just needs 11 more. And then this will be basically over with. Andy doing a nice job here, trying to set up the triple spins here.
Yep, getting that torch glitch.
You see a lot of runners start with just trying to go for the 1 and 2 potential. You really know there's like that comfort with this scenario of doing the silverless fight when you see them setting up for that triple.
Yep.
Timing on that's kind of tight sometimes.
Very tight. Just a couple more hits here from Andy. I hope. All right.
And down goes the big pig for Andy. And it looks like Andy's going to be advancing on to top 8. Unfortunately, this will be the end of Solski's run since these are best of ones.
Yep. Single elimination.
But get your GGs in chat for Andy crossing the line at 134.43.
Congratulations to Andy on that one.
Yeah, congratulations to, both of these guys.
Yep.
This is a tough scenario to be in, and just to make top 16 is a huge feat in and of itself. But we'll see if we can get these guys in for an interview here shortly.
Yep, looks like we'll be taking a quick break, and then we'll get them in.
I need to reword this. I was like, leave an item in Ice Pal. Don't write that.
No, don't say that one.
Got a 4th.
I can let you take this.
Middle. No, it's a crystal. Don't forget your phone, Felix.
Yeah, so a couple minutes.
Yeah. Considered, it was still a quick seed.
Yeah.
So much there's a lot of early items, and then do your bread and butter, check everything. Nothing. Now do the stupid stuff. And
Yeah, and it's like both of them were kind of playing it safe.
yeah, no real gambles. Did I hear that right? Did he think that was a key?
He thought it was a key, and then he was like, "I'm fine with it." But yeah, ask him.
touch on it briefly. Yeah, either way, whichever you're more comfortable with.
Oh, I'm not comfortable right now at all.
I feel that.
Yeah.
These things are like super hot. All right, are we? So I'm joined here by Andy, our winner, and Solski. GG's to both you guys. Solski, I want to start with you. I'm assuming that Eastern early play, getting that flute, was pretty good feeling considering it led to the boots as well. So both of your, overworld travel items were like super nice. And it gave you a really big advantage early on being able to check all that out. At that point, how did you feel everything was going? I'm assuming you thought everything was going your way at that stage?
Yeah, it felt like the early game was a home run. Everything fell into place like within 20 minutes. Like I think I was 4 items from go, which was at the time Fire Rod, Hammer, Mirror, and what was the last one? There was one more, but whatever. So I felt pretty good. Got Eastern early as a crystal. Did Thieves Town. Big chest was open. I was like, wasn't happy about it, but whatever. And then Seed just slowed right down, and I was like, what? Because like I got like bow, I got boots, I got like everything super early, and then I couldn't find anything, and I was like, I wanted to go to pod early, but I decided to do overworld first. I was like, oh, I should have probably done pod. That turned into was it Bombos, and then Bombos led to ice. I was actually going to go to TR with that Bombos without the hammer first.
Yeah, we thought you may have tried to do that.
Yeah.
You never really think that hammer's required for that until you realize all that muscle memory puzzle.
Because I'm so late in the scene. Like, where's my hammer? So
yeah, so hammer's supposed to be there that early or just come in, but and kind of the turning point here. I want to ask you about this Ice Palace. Did you think there was another item there and you were just, okay, I'm going to leave that as a gamble? Did you feel behind at that point, or was it just maybe a miscounting?
I think at that point I wasn't sure. Like, I thought in my head I had all 3 items, but I just pushed ahead anyways. I had so much ahead of me at the point. So this is kind of just a miscalculation. Thought I can just push ahead regardless, and then sure enough that was like the dagger, because like if I was wrong it was pretty much done. So. But that's 1v1, right? You have to take some semblance to risk. So I don't know if I was ahead to Hammer to Andy or not. Like, I'm not sure. Obviously,
at that point, I think you both were in the dungeon.
Yeah.
But you got to Hammer first.
Yeah.
So
you like my reaction?
Yeah. This is one thing that's great about SpeedGaming Live is you get to see the live reactions of everybody while this is like unfolding live. And Andy, I kind of want to turn this to you. So we saw a lot of disgust kind of on your face with literally nothing showing up for you, and the late flute. What was kind of going through your mind at that point?
Well, I know Solski likes to Eastern early for no reason, so that worried me a little bit. But then
proper routing, it's the new meta.
But then like it led to the stuff on Death Mountain, and then it led to nothing else after that. And I was like, okay, I think I'm okay here.
Yeah.
And then I guess like the one gamble I did was Meyer, when I got Hook and Kane in
see the thing
Meyer Shed.
The thing that really helped you out there, Solski also made that play into Meyer. And I think the second item there was just either a heart piece or container. I know that was the 2 items in total. But so you did make the play back through ice, kind of playing it safe, checking every chest. You got the mirror, which led to your eventual go mode. At that point, what was going through your mind? Did you really feel like you were ahead? Did you just feel still a little behind because of the flute scenario?
I figured it was pretty close at that point, just because all I had left besides ice was the one item left in Meyer. And so it was just like, this seed was probably going to be going similarly for both of us. Maybe like a little bit of time difference, but yeah.
Well, congratulations on advancing to the top 8. And I believe you play the winner of Matt the Ogre and Superman Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
And that match, I guess it's going to be scheduled for today at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But we look forward to seeing that. Solski, I hate your run had to come to an end here. I know when you have these like excellent runners like this, all in one place. You know, you have a bracket of 16, even if it was 32, I think, with the names that are here. It's going to be, you know, kind of, you don't want to play anybody really, you know, especially in a best of one. But I want to congratulate you making it this far, and Andy, good luck with the best of your runs going forward. And thank you guys so much for putting on a show for us.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
To the 36 people that picked Andy to advance in the brackets, you're welcome.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Oh, so look forward to seeing some more matches coming up for you guys a little later on. For now, I've been Dante, and for Felix, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.